new Steam client update leaked more on the Valve frame, the Steam frame, than we could have ever thought possible. Let's talk about it. If somehow you are behind or out of the loop, the new Steam frame upcoming headset is a VR headset, wireless, can standalone play most PC games, but then has a wireless dongle that allows you to play the most hardcore games like Blade and Sorcery, via your gaming PC, but still with a wireless connection within range. It's the follow-up to the Valve Index 7 years later. We still have not gotten an exact date or price, but it's been believed it's going to come out this summer. They claim they're going to try and make it about the price of the Valve Index, which was around $1,000 still after all these years. Although, of course, some of the other things, the Steam machine, have been affected by the high RAM surge, SSD pricing, all due to these AI farms. But with that, we have got an official Steam frame unboxing video showing it off, showing a very simple packaging, opening up to reveal what looks a lot like the design of a Quest. Controllers very similar. The battery pack placed in the back to help with weight distribution, as we saw with the Quest Pro, really helps with headsets. How to boot it up, the controller close-ups, where now they've put a directional pad on the left controller and all of the buttons on the right controller. Interesting. And not only the outside of the headset, there was also a frame startup video leaked, although that gives us very little. You get to see what it's going to look like on the inside booting up, and so much more we'll continue to talk about here in the news. Remember this?
That's me, praying to the best VR YouTuber in the game. I was dumb enough to challenge Jay to a 30-day fitness challenge in FitXR. The loser has to upload a video on their channel shouting out the other person.
When me and Kalia VR went up against each other for a month in FitXR, we got real-time body scans to see who could lose the most body fat. And spoiler alert, all this was like 6 months ago, I won. Well, we're taking it to the next level now. FitXR is going to actually have us train with their personal coaches to see what we can do with another month and how much further we can take this battle against each other. We're going to meet up in person, step the whole thing up, fly out there, hang out, work out together, maybe do some other wild stuff since we'll be together anyways. But this is all happening because all of you out there have been joining me in FitXR, working out together with me. Over 500 of you have actually redeemed the JAYBRFREEBIE free month code. That was so many that it actually deactivated the code. It actually ran out of free, so they added some more to it. That doesn't mean it's going to last forever. And especially if as many of you keep joining me on this fitness journey as have been, we're probably going to run the code out again. So if you've been thinking about it for a while, JAYBRFREEBIE. When you get in FitXR, make sure you put that in, so you're going to get a free month instead of just the 1 week free trial we'll try to offer you. It's been a wild year of working out. My body composition is way better. My doctor said my blood pressure is down. My numbers all look better. My waistline has changed a lot. Of course, it's varied a bit with how busy I am and how much time I made for FitXR, but I think I have done all of the challenges every month that they set up for the last year, and now they've added this new journey pass. I can't recommend it enough, but obviously over 500 of you have already tried it with me, which is amazing. So thank you. If you haven't yet, get in there with me. And if you have, make sure you follow me. I follow everybody back so that we can see each other on the leaderboard. Although some of you now are taking over that leaderboard doing so well. I feel like I'm the noob that can't keep up, but thank you. Join me and watch out for this whole thing with Kalia. There's a lot more videos on the Steam frame, but a lot of you have been asking my thoughts on it. And I've got to say, I've been saying for years, if you follow the channel, I wish the Quest would just come with a dongle that connected to your PC for latency-free VR, something that made it simple, because sometimes, depending on your internet connection, virtual desktop or built-in AirLink, all these things can be really unreliable. And I was like, why can't there just be a dongle that comes with it? And Steam Frame has done that. Also, I've talked about the battery being on the back of the headset, and you know I use head straps that put another battery on the back to balance it out. Very excited that they have made these leaps, although at probably 3 to 4 times the price of a Quest 3S, this is going to be a lot. It's really interesting that they're shipping it in a power saving mode, as they said in that unboxing video. But of course, as you also know, I complain all the time about people not sending power bricks, and it looks like this just sends a cable. But with all of that, you've seen the unboxing, you've seen the boot screen. They also sent a sign-in guide out saying, of course, you have to have a Steam account. An interesting detail, they are recommending a mobile app with this, the Steam one, and then you can use the cameras on the headset that it's using to track to look at your phone and use the QR code just to get logged in that way. I like how they say this is the easiest and most fun way to log in, but it also gives you some look into the Steam Guard, the Steam mobile app. I'm surprised how many clicks it is, even in their video, to get this thing going. I like that they admit that this is a weird way you're actually firing your camera through the lens to get a QR code the other way. Of course, there is an IPD ring. We're all pretty used to this, whether you used a Quest 2, a Quest 3S, you move the lenses inside. A Quest 3 has an actual dial on it. What still drives me crazy about VR headsets, my first one, the earliest one, the Gear VR, had a diopter adjustment, and that meant if someone needed glasses, they didn't have to wear them in the headset. You could just adjust the diopter. And yes, that is harder with multiple panels and headsets, but some have done it where the lenses, like that one Valve one, had like a 0 through 6 dial on the inside. If your left eye was really bad and your right eye was okay, you could even adjust each eye. But the Gear VR had one dial that moved it all in and out from lenses. Anyone I tried, even with really bad prescriptions, could usually get it reasonably clear and not have to deal with their glasses. But they did show that the Steam frame has a glasses spacer. It looks like it's magnetic. Wearing glasses in VR forced me to get LASIK. It's just not something that I love, and I wish diopter adjustments were a thing, but IPD adjustment at least is. Because some headsets like the original PSVR had such big lenses with such big sweet spots, they didn't really need one. They could do one through software, but pretty much anyone I put in that headset was okay. It's funny how in this video they try to demonstrate what exactly IPD does, because if you've used like a Quest 3 as a dial, you can tune it all the way out either direction, and your eyes try so hard to adjust for it themselves that your eyes can usually kind of fix it. You'll just get a headache way sooner or way more eye strain, but it's not nearly as obvious as something like a diopter adjustment was, where you could move it and suddenly see everything clear, or zoom it out just like a camera lens and see everything blurry. IPD is subjective. It can vary a lot based on what lenses you're using, and a lot of times you'll think you have it right and you don't, and then you'll notice over time you'll get more eye strain. Some people get more sick, but hopefully you get adjusted, you keep it there, it's okay. I really like that they added an IPD lock to this though. That is cool. So once you finally feel like you have it just right, you lock it. Because one thing I've noticed with the Quest 3, when I'm using them without a facial interface, my nose is bumping the lenses, and even though it uses a dial at the bottom, that can move them enough that it'll push it out of place. So that's a really cool feature. Fitment guide, which lots of people need, even though you think it'd be self-explanatory with most headsets how to get them comfortable. I can't tell you how I'm feeling in the early days of the Quest 2 had the rear strap high when you really needed to pull it down to the base of your skull to make that horrible strap at least slightly comfortable. How many people are going to quickly ask to add a top strap to this thing, I wonder. The arms at the front do pivot just like on the Quest. Some people didn't realize for the longest time the Quest 2 could even do that because they were so stiff. They made them less stiff on the Quest 3 and 3S. But I remember making a video telling people, hey, you can move the arms, and I got so many comments from people saying, I didn't know you could do that. Magnetic. Everything should be magnetic. Magnets are magic, and it's so much simpler than Velcro and tape and stuff ripping off. Yes, magnets in the glasses spacer. Oh, I like the purse idea, except for the fact that if you take it outside, you could risk burning up your lenses in an instant with sunlight. I like that Valve has a sense of humor in their videos. They put out a guide about an update for having your frame wireless adapter. Pretty self-explanatory. Use the same Steam account, plug it into your PC. And so now we know the dongle here either uses its own connection, it may use your wireless home internet connection if it deems it powerful, or it'll use both combined to make it even stronger, which is smart. It sounds like they've built in some designs here to really figure out what's the best, lowest latency way to make this thing work. I'm pretty excited about that. So once you've done that, any of your PCVR games will actually show up inside your headset. Of course, you do have to have the dongle, you do have to have your PC connected, and then you'll be able to play those. We know big games like Blade and Sorcery, after all of its updates, Half-Life Alyx, those are things that are probably going to only be able to be played with the dongle, so you'll still need a PC, but it's just going to unlock everything wirelessly and easy. I love that. Ergonomic accessories. Oh, is this the top strap? Yep. So separately, it looks like you can purchase grips, just like I always say you need for your controllers, which is interesting. So the Valve Index kind of pioneered these hand-in controllers that had finger tracking on all of them, and people thought it was weird at the time. They're like, oh, I could just open up my hand and the controller stays on my hand. And now for most people, it's kind of the standard if you've ever used a set of grips like this. So now the Steam frame has an optional accessories kit, which will give you that ability back, a nose light blocker that will help keep you more immersed and not see light around your nose, and the top strap I just mentioned, because a lot of people think every headset should have a top strap. I don't agree if the strap is built well enough. The original PSVR did not need one. The Bobo VR with the Quest, I don't think needs one. I don't even think it needs those little top knobs, but some people feel like it does. To me, a top strap is a sign that your headset isn't perfectly designed in a way that doesn't put the weight on your face, but this is putting the weight on your face no matter what you do. We also saw the pads in this look like they're pretty similar to the pads that the Valve Index used. So if you're doing really active gaming, you'll probably want to get, and they'll be magnetic, a swap with something pleather or something else, just because that thing soaked up sweat so bad. That time I did those 10 straight days in VR and I was using the Valve Index every morning for Beat Saber for exercise, and that thing would just be wet for the rest of the day even after I washed it. Not enjoyable. Well, that was a lot of information on the Steam frame we just got all at once. It's exciting. I wish we had an exact price and date of release. I am going to try to get one, of course. Here we were supposed to go up to Valve. Actually, they asked us if we could come up early and try it, but schedules got crazy and we didn't hear back from them. It looks like it could be with us sooner than we think. There was supposed to be summer, a lot of people had said, so we're still in summer. It still could happen in the next month. Although I kind of wonder if they're going to launch it like on the day of Connect just to mess with Meta. That would be a pretty typical Steam move and it would be hilarious. So, well, now you know a lot more and we should know soon. It's supposed to be around 1,000 or under, they said, and hopefully soon to release. So we'll keep you updated here. There was some Discord recently when Meta started running ads saying that the Quest 3S has 2 times better graphics than the Quest 2, promoting that people get it, upgrade to it, with people saying, doesn't it have the exact same panel, screen resolution, and all those things? Which it does. So I put the question out there to you in a short. Did you know the Quest 3S and the Quest 2 have the exact same resolution? Pointing out this claim and asking what you thought for those of you who went directly from a 2 to a 3S. Since I had the 3 in between, it kind of messed up my perspective on it, with comments ranging from Lord Limelight saying it's worth the colored pass-through, Randomized pointing out that resolution doesn't change, graphics resolution is the amount of pixel graphics is the detail of the virtual world, Poke Tay saying they overclock theirs using ADV and SideQuest, Withermask saying as a daily 3S player and someone who used the 2 for years, the graphics are almost identical, but the color pass-through, the faster loading, the higher FPS, the better tracking, the excellent darker tracking, all of it's well worth the upgrade, but I would honestly 100% recommend a used 3 or a new one if you have the budget with a nice strap like a Bobo VR one. With others like Grassy G-Tag saying the jump from 2 to the 3S was crazy, they couldn't believe how much changed, which oftentimes is a reaction I've seen with people who have gotten a 3S, switch to even a 3, and at first they're like, it doesn't look that different, but after a while you spend some time and you try to go back to the 2, you realize, wow, it does look very different. So I'm curious with it being able to sustain higher frame rates, and what Meta pointed out too is that the Quest 3S has enough processing power that more games can push towards the native resolution it has inside the headset, where Quest 2 ones were downscaled, they can say it's 2 times better graphics. Do you think that's legit, or do you think that's some kind of marketing BS? Let me know in the comments down below. A lot of you probably don't know this, but I actually keep a list of every public subscriber that's ever come to the channel. In the early days when it didn't take me 10 days to read them all out loud, we used to do different celebrations for milestones. Our first ever public subscriber to the channel was Noah Nelson, who I got to talk to later. First, we want to say welcome to Noah Nelson, our newest subscriber to the channel. I want to say thank you for joining us and hanging out. Ended up becoming one of the moderators on our Discord. And we, because of all your support out there, the headsets companies give us to give away, we were able to give him a Quest 3S. He'd been using the Quest 2 all this time. It was an upgrade, sadly not the big upgrade to the Quest 3 that I prefer.
I am going to tell you, I am very appreciative for what just came in the mail.
But it was an extra headset that was hanging out, and that was before I kept breaking Quest 3s, but that's beside the point. Sweat and FitXR and all that, it's been a dangerous game for Quest 3s here. But he sent me a little video, a big thank you, and the coolest part of it is he gave his Quest 2 to his dad, and he and him are now doing FitXR together with the free code the month from us. On top of that, we do try to give away headsets as much as we can. They've gotten very expensive because Meta rarely gives us headsets anymore. Once in a while, we'll get one. I actually just did get a couple. You might have seen this short. But if you haven't entered, the giveaway has actually, I've kept this one quieter. I think there's not a lot of entries on it. Yeah, we're going to be giving away a Quest 3 next month, and it's only got 300 people entered so far. So that's a great chance. So make sure you check that out down below. Enter in that if you want to. And thanks to Noah Nelson for sending me a video, because I love getting to share those with you guys and at least show you who ends up getting the headsets and such. So thank you. The Games Showcase came out giving us a preview of games coming, and probably the biggest news, if you remember that game High on Life from Squanch Studios, from the minds of the Rick and Morty creators, a first-person shooter game where your gun is alive, talks to you, says jokes, insults you, is coming to VR. Thanks to the folks at Flat to VR Studios, the wing of Impact Reality. The Quest 3 and 3S are going to get a version of High on Life, and over on the MetaQuest blog, there's actually a full interview with the producer asking about High on Life being on Quest. I'll leave a link in case you want to read the whole Q&A, but this isn't nearly the first time something from the Rick and Morty universe, or even from the minds behind it, has come to VR and oftentimes been very irreverent in its decision making. Rick and Morty VR was actually made by the creators of Job Simulator. If you really love the show, a pretty faithful recreation of certain parts of it and a lot of Easter eggs from it, but people said it really just wasn't what they wanted to be. They wanted to be blasting through the universe with Rick rather than just being his little errand boy. And then Accounting Plus, if you haven't played that game, that is a wild and weird game, but something to watch out for. Speaking of Job Simulator, it's actually coming with a sequel, but flat screen only. Something sadly we're starting to see happen more with VR games. Job Simulator Human Relations has entered a crowdfunding period, and if it works out, we could get a 4-player co-op game like Job Simulator, but for flat screen players to enjoy. As a lot of us from the OG days of VR loved Job Simulator, maybe not Vacation Simulator as much. What do you think? Do you want to see this continue on flat screen? Would you just rather have another one in VR? I fear with a lot of the uncertainty behind the VR industry, we're going to see more and more of this, but at least other games are coming. When mixed reality first started coming, even on the Quest 2 in black and white, the Quest Pro in recolored black and white, it felt real gimmicky. A lot of people said it felt like it was an addition to the real world. It didn't blend at all, but it seems like it's starting to see its stride. From different examples that we've seen lately where now people are using it to make haunted houses in their own houses, go play laser tag outside with the real world objects actually tracking. The newer tracking on the headsets involves much more convincing elements, and we've shown you things here from Gracia, which brought in some of the most photorealistic mixed reality I've ever seen. New horror games like this one, Spirit Ritual, which lets you use some of your own environment, but then adding ghosts to the mix. And adaptive mixed reality, where that one demo we showed you, like you can be bouncing balls into a room, and if someone shuts the door, it sees that the door has now changed places and can bounce back and forth. We're seeing a lot more uses for mixed reality, also leaning towards that future of possibly fully immersive smart glasses that could give you these kind of games. Although so far with smart glasses, we've seen very little of gaming and more real world use. It does bring back the question that if the Steam frame sticks to black and white pass through and doesn't really lean into mixed reality, are you going to be missing something on that headset? I've played some really cool demos in mixed reality, but there's very few games that I play consistently and a lot. Games like Demio, other mixed reality kind of top down relaxing games. We showed you that one, The Great Flood, that still hasn't come out, that we got to preview ahead of time. Things like that do add a lot to it for that. I don't know if there's one that would have me running around the house that I would consistently play for a long time besides Spatial Ops. That one I have played a lot of. So what's your opinion out there on mixed reality and where it's come from where it started? Beat Saber's price has been cut. That might be a surprise to those of you like me who know that it started at $20 in early access, went up to $29.99 at launch. Well, now it's back down to $19.99, especially considering its 10-year anniversary. I read that in just 10 years, $30, according to inflation, would now mean the game should be $40 even then, and the fact that it's going down. But Road to VR hypothesized that they're working towards a free-to-play model on it because so much of it's paid DLC anyways now. That's just their guess, but the price is lower for now, and there is a lot of services now that you can get it, including if you have Horizon Plus, you actually just get the game free on there as long as you continue paying for that subscription. But I'm curious, if you bought it, especially like I have and as many times as I have, how would you feel if it went to free after all these years? One of the few games that's really gotten me back into the PCVR headsets, into the Radius 2. If you know me, you know I love number one. It's been on PC for a while, and now the full release is supposed to be happening this month on Quest as well, which is exciting to me because it's just easier to play games, especially ones like this that are longer, that you're squatting down to pick up bullets off the ground, individual bullets for different gun calibers and everything. It's a very tedious survival game, and it's not for everyone, but for some reason, I just love this series. Should be coming this month. I was experiencing it last time, though, in the Pimax Crystal Super OLED, so I do wonder how it's going to feel on a Quest 3 at this point, but it's one that I'm excited for. We got High on Life coming. We got more games coming, at least. A little bit less on the headset side maybe, but we'll talk more probably in the next video about some more of the Quest 4, Quest Pro 2 rumors as far as connecting what's going on there. But once again, I just want to say thank you for being here with me. 7 years on the channel now. Thank you so much. I'll see you in another reality.